Hi there, welcome to Long Distance Review, and this is the first review I've done in a couple of months. And the main reason why, without telling you in my entire private life, is I've been moving house. And I'm finally in the new place, and it's been a long drawn out process, I'll be honest, and I've been very busy with work, with moving, and I just haven't had time or anywhere to film for my reviews. So this is the first review I've done in a while. I'm finally moved in. So I do apologise if the light is not exactly right, and I'm not exactly happy with the background at the moment, but I'll get it sorted. But this is the first, this is a review I wanted to get out that I've missed a few albums this summer, basically. I really wanted to do the Alice in Chains album, that came out and I missed that, and this album came out last week, and I just thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to get back into doing my videos, because this is an album I really wanted to take a look at. It's an album I've lived with for a week now, and I've really enjoyed listening to. So, without further ado, this review is going to be for the new Alkaline Trio album, Is This Thing Cursed? Now, Alkaline Trio, they were formed back in 1996. This is their 9th studio album. They are formed of the members, the original members, Matt Skiba and Dan Andriano, and drummer Derek Grant. Now, Derek Grant came along in just before the recording of Good Morning in 2003. So they've been together for over 10 years as these three-piece, basically. But the band itself has been around for over 20 years now. If we look back through their history, like I say, this is their 9th album. Their first album, the debut album, was released in 1998 called God Damn It. They then followed that up in the year 2000 with Maybe I'll Catch Fire. They then released From Here to Infirmary in 2001, Good Morning in 2003, Crimson 2005, Agony and Irony came out in 2008, This Addiction came out then in 2010, and My Shame Is True, finally, in 2013. Now, if you've been paying close attention to those dates, you'll realise that this is the longest gap they've had between albums. This is 5 years between My Shame Is True and this album, Is This Thing Cursed? Now, the main reason behind that, Matt Skiba joined Blink-182. So he's been rather busy. They obviously did their album, they've been touring as Blink-182. He is now a full-time member of Blink-182. So, I don't want to say he pushed Alkaline Trio to the side, but they certainly took a break from being a fully active band. They still toured, they still gigged, but this is the first time they've got together in a studio, they've written songs, and they've done an album in 5 years. If we look back at the sound of Alkaline Trio, those of you who know what Alkaline Trio sound like know they are a melodic, pop-punk, dark punk band. The first 2 albums, I think, grew together quite nicely. God Damn It and Maybe I'll Catch Fire. They showcased the band's early raw punk sound, but certainly blueprint the Alkaline Trio sound which they've harnessed throughout their career. The melodies, the choruses, the hooks, and the dark elements that they put into their lyrics and lyrical content. I think the 3-album curve of From Here to Infirmary, Good Morning, and Crimson is where the band really hit their stride. Not just in terms of popularity, they also, I think, they hit a lovely peak between being a punk band and embracing more gothic and dark sound that Matt, I know, really likes. And I think, you know, creatively, I think they hit their peak on Crimson. Caveat, my favourite album. And it was from there that they then, I suppose it was more of a hard rock sound, those 3 albums. They moved a bit away from punk, but they also, like I say, embraced a lot more of the sort of experimental new wave, dark wave, on Crimson, really, not on Good Morning, From Here to Infirmary. And I think that it worked really well for them. And it was from that they then signed to the major label, Epic, and released Agony and Irony, which was a move away from punk, really. It was much more of a hard rock, straight up rock album. And like many bands who signed for a major label, it didn't quite work out for them. And they moved away, back from the major label, formed their own label, Hearts and Skulls, and their joint venture with Epitaph released This Addiction, 2010, and My Shame Is True in 2013. Now, personally, those 2 albums, I think, creatively and certainly in popularity, they dropped off a bit, but I don't think those albums are as good as any of the earlier albums. They are fine, let's say. They are good. They are okay, but there's nothing great on them. A couple of really good songs, good singles. Always been good singles band, Alkaline Trio. But I think there's a lot of filler on those albums, and I think that they started to sound a bit tired. And I think especially on My Shame Is True, which is the last album they released before this one in 2013, it's more of a concept album that Matt Skiba wrote about a failed relationship. Although interesting enough in lyrical content, I just think it sounds very tired and a well-trodden path that they've gone over many times before. It was okay, but in a way, it was quite good that they took a break, because then they've come back with this album. Now this album is called Is This Thing Cursed? And the opener is the song of the album, Is This Thing Cursed? And it's the first time that Dan Andriano has opened up an Alkaline Trio album. Now, like many Alkaline Trio fans, Dan Andriano is probably my favourite element of the band. I've always preferred his vocals to Matt's, and I think his lyrics are always very sardonic, very humorous, but very dark and very relatable. And it's great to hear him open up the album. The song itself starts off with a very melancholic piano intro, but then builds and swells, and then the dual harmonies come in of Matt and Dan. And it sounds fantastic. It's a real belter of a song. I can't wait to hear them play this live. I think it'll come across really well, and it starts the album off brilliant. It's their best opening track in my eyes since This Could Be Love off Good Morning. That's a big thing to say. But yeah, they're great. And the first 3 songs on this album continue that trend. And I thought after the first 3 songs, this album's going to be an absolute classic, because Blackbird, which is probably the single that a lot of people have heard off the album, comes in next. And it's the first time, and it's Matt's song, and it's his vocals duties on it. And it sounds brilliant. He sounds re-energized. He sounds energetic and revitalized. It really stands out. And it's a great song, really pacey, really energetic, and they sound vital again. And then the third song, Demon and Division, the singing shared again between Matt and Dan, and it just sounds fantastic. The harmonies sound great, and those 3 songs, the curve of those 3 songs, just great. Thought this is going to be a fantastic album. I'm not saying it's not. It still is a very, very good album. But yeah, I mean, the songs do drop off eventually. But it's still a very, very good album. And the reason why a lot of Alkaline Trio fans like Alkaline Trio is the partnership between Dan and Matt, the vocal harmonies between the two, and the relationship between the two. In my eyes, they're equal frontmen. There's no one frontman and the second man, which Matt's always been the frontman, but really Dan is just as much of a frontman as Matt. And he showcases that brilliantly on the songs Little Help, which is more of a Ramones Misfits type song. Real pacey, not in the vocals, but in the drums and the guitar, real driven in and out. That song, and he also fronts up the song Stay later in the album, which is a real interesting sort of nostalgic Alkaline Trio song. It's got a lot of references to previous Alkaline Trio songs in it. And it shows why Dan is just as much a vital part of Alkaline Trio as Matt. And in my eyes, on the later albums, he was the better person anyway. On This Addiction and My Shame Is True, he was a much better frontman than Matt was. Thought Matt had got bored of it and sounded tired on later albums. Adriano was never sounded tired. And as always, with Alkaline Trio, is the lyrics and the standout thing of the band, the dark, emotional, self-loathing, self-hating and despairing lyrics, all built over these huge melodies and huge choruses and huge bright songs. I love the juxtaposition between the dark and the light in Alkaline Trio, and that's what I've always enjoyed about them, and it's showcased brilliantly on here. But they don't just look internally on this album. The song I Can't Believe is a outwardly looking song, which is obviously about the state of America at the moment and the Trump administration, let's say, with the lines, I can't believe anything you say to me, I just can't believe how you ever dreamt this was for the best. An interesting song, an interesting look, but it's good to see Alkaline Trio looking out and not always internally at their own struggles and problems of growing old and failed relationships, which we can all relate to. The album itself then, it does sag a little bit in the middle, I feel. Only a little bit. The songs are all good, they're all fine, but the songs Sweet Vampires, Pale Blue Ribbon and Goodbye Fire Island, in my eyes, are all good, but there's nothing new and exciting. Sweet Vampires, incidentally, is probably the oddest song on the album. It's got a real sort of garage rock feel to it. It reminds me of like the Gaslight Anthem or the Menzingers. It's okay, it's pacey enough to keep the interest levels going, but I think in the middle this album does sag a little bit, and I feared then that maybe the album will drop off and it'll end with a whimper, but it doesn't, because the last 3 songs on the album really pick up the pace again, and there's some of the best songs on the album are right at the end. Worn So Thin is something that sounds like it could be off From Here to Infirmary, and the song Throw Me to the Lines is relentlessly fast, and one of the punkiest songs Alkaline Trio have done in a long time. It's so good to hear them struggling to keep pace with the song, and Derek Grant's drumming is so good on this album, so good on that song. And then the final song is the trademark Matt Skiba ballad, let's say, acoustic ballad. So it's called Crystalline, and it sounds like something off, it could be off My Shame Is True. It's a song about a previous relationship, but it really shows to me how Matt is bought into Alkaline Trio still. They aren't the side project, they are his band, and they are just as important, if not more important to him than Blink-182. His vocals on the song, as they break and they hit the high notes, and it sounds like the throat shredding on the chorus. I think it's brilliantly done, and it's really good to hear him sound like that again in Alkaline Trio. Overall, I think this is a really, really good album. In my eyes, this is the best Alkaline Trio since Crimson, and the best Matt Skiba performance on an Alkaline Trio since Agony and Irony, definitely. So it's so good to have them back, and 20 years down the line for them to sound this vital, this re-energised, this focused, and showing the young kids how it should be done. I think it's great. So good to have Alkaline Trio back. Yeah, go check it out. Go check out Blackbird and Is This Thing Cursed and Demons and Division. They're all on YouTube, so go check them out. And then go check out the album. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with some more reviews, hopefully more regular now, and I'll hopefully sort out the lighting a bit better in the background and things. I'll get there eventually. Thanks for watching. Cheers.